Welcome to the Daily Threat, your go-to podcast for decoding the biggest risks in cybersecurity and, let's be real, how they're probably threatening your business right now. So hey, it's not all doom and gloom. Eric and I are here to break it all down, guide you through it, and maybe even make it a bit fun.
That's right, Dylan. For those of you listening for the first time, this is the place for business leaders, decision makers, and really anyone who's wondering how today's cybersecurity headlines apply to their day-to-day decisions. It's about actionable insights, not just headlines.
Exactly. Okay, so today's slate of stories is wild. We're talking about how artificial intelligence is being used to create content out of thin air. Everything from picture-perfect images to deepfake videos and robotics-produced podcasts. But it's not just about fun and creativity, right?
No, not at all. The same technology that's fueling innovation is also being exploited by bad actors. We're going to walk you through how these tools are being weaponized for scams and cyber attacks, including some chilling examples. No spoilers yet, but it involves a fake Brad Pitt and massive financial losses.
Yeah, I can't wait to unpack that one. It's nuts. All of it, it's one of those moments where you go, is this real life or a sci-fi movie? Anyway, buckle up. It's going to be a good one.
It will. And with that, let's dive right in. We'll start with how AI-generated content, think deepfakes and synthetic media, has evolved over the years.
Let's start with deepfake technology. The progress here is astounding, and also alarming. We've moved from simple and detectable visual edits to sophisticated video and audio manipulations that can convincingly make anyone appear to say or do anything. The implications of this are massive and honestly, pretty scary.
It really is. The ability for AI to mimic not just someone's look, but their voice, mannerisms, and even behaviors, it's reached an entirely new level of sophistication. Deepfake technology relies on advanced machine learning, where algorithms study massive amounts of data, videos, audio clips, photographs, to generate highly convincing replicas.
Yeah, and it's crazy accurate. You watch one of these deepfake videos, and unless you're looking closely, you might never notice it's fake. I even saw one where they put Keanu Reeves in random TikToks, just chilling, helping people out. It was so real it messed with my head a little.
Exactly, but that's the danger, right? As the quality improves, it becomes harder for people, ordinary users, even experts, to tell what's real and what's not. These tools started as, fun experiments for entertainment, but now they're being used with much more sinister intent.
Yeah, think about how easy it is for bad actors to exploit that. If someone can mimic, say, a CEO's voice perfectly, and I mean perfectly, they could call an employee, make it sound totally legit, and boom, access to sensitive information, money, whatever. It's scary.
Definitely. And this manipulation isn't limited to audio-only schemes. Deepfake videos used in disinformation campaigns have already had some pretty significant consequences. Politicians, public figures, they're being targeted to spread false messages or erode trust. Combine that with social media, where content spreads at warp speed, and you have a recipe for chaos.
Right? And we've reached the point where traditional ways of verifying authenticity oh, I heard them say it, or I saw it on video, don't even work anymore. You know what bugs me most? It's how fast bad actors jump on this stuff, they're always 5 steps ahead.
True, but to be fair, the tools themselves aren't inherently bad. Take AI in the movie industry, for instance. It's being used to de-age actors, create entirely new characters, or even bring deceased performers back to life on screen. The same tech that poses a risk can also enhance creativity and storytelling in remarkable ways.
Yeah, I get that. It's a double-edged sword. But you gotta admit, it feels like the weapon side of that sword is much sharper right now, especially with how accessible deepfake tools have become. You don't even need fancy equipment anymore. It's all out there. Just download some software, or heck, even use an app, and you're in business.
That's right. Accessibility is the key issue here. What was once the domain of skilled professionals is now available to almost anyone with a smartphone. The technology is democratized, but there's a lack of accountability, and that combination is where things get dangerous. It's not the tool itself, but how it's being used.
Yeah, and misused. Honestly, it makes me wonder how we're supposed to trust anything anymore. At least in the past, you had these guardrails, you could usually sniff out when something felt off. But now, man, it's even those instincts might not be enough. Speaking of how people misuse this technology, there's this case that's been making headlines and you won't believe it. A woman was completely convinced she was in an online relationship with Brad Pitt. I mean, she thought it was real and ended up getting scammed out of $800,000. $800,000. How scary is that?
Yeah, and the sheer audacity of it is mind-blowing. The scammer used AI to create a highly convincing version of Brad Pitt. We're talking voice, mannerisms, tone. Everything was so believable that she had no idea she wasn't talking to the real person. It's another clear example of how deepfake technology and synthetic media can be weaponized.
Totally. And the emotional angle too, right? Like this wasn't some quick one and done scam. The person, scammer, whatever, built trust over time, made her believe this connection was real. I think that's what makes it so unsettling.
Exactly. Emotional manipulation is at the heart of these scams. It's not just about the technology, it's how it's being used to exploit basic human vulnerabilities. Trust, hope, loneliness. Those are the levers these scammers pull.
Yeah, and Brad Pitt himself even released a statement which, by the way, good for him for calling this out. He basically said, look, I had nothing to do with this. It's not me, and this needs to stop. I mean, can you blame him? If it were me, I'd be livid.
Right, and his statement underscores a larger issue for public figures. Using AI to steal someone's likeness is not just damaging for the individuals being scammed, but also for the reputations of the people being impersonated. It creates this awful dynamic where everyone ends up a victim.
Yeah, totally. And those public figures, they're becoming more aware of how their image and voice can be used in these ways. I mean, just think about what this means for trust in general. If you can't even trust that someone is who they say they are, what next?
That's the million-dollar question. Or in this case, the $800,000 question. What we're seeing here is just one example of a much bigger pattern. AI being weaponized to exploit people's trust and familiarity, and the consequences can be devastating.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how many other stories like this are out there that we just don't hear about. Honestly, it's infuriating. Like these bad actors are weaponizing technology in a way that feels almost unstoppable. You know, the more we talk about these AI scams, the more it hits me. This isn't just some inconvenient spam issue anymore. The stakes are real, and it's terrifying how many people are at risk. It feels like figuring out who's most vulnerable and how to actually protect them is something we absolutely need to prioritize, don't you think?
Absolutely. And one group that's been hit hard is older adults. According to findings from the AARP, they're often prime targets because scammers know they might not be as familiar with this kind of technology. It's a really troubling trend, but there are steps we can take to minimize the risk.
Yeah, like as if those fake extend your car warranty calls weren't bad enough, now they have to deal with AI pretending to be their kids or grandkids. It's awful. So, what can they do?
A few things, actually. First, it's about awareness, educating people to question unsolicited communications, no matter how legit they seem at first. That means being skeptical of emotional appeals, especially urgent ones. Another key tip is identity verification. For example, if someone calls claiming to be a loved one, follow up through a separate channel to confirm. Multiple steps of verification can stop scams in their tracks.
Like a double check. Hang on, let me call you back on your usual number. That kind of thing.
Exactly. And Dylan, I think people also need to be cautious about personal info they share online. Scammers often use social media to piece together convincing stories. Limiting what's accessible publicly can cut off those opportunities.
Oh man, that's so true. I mean, how many of us have everything from our dog's name to our mom's birthday just sitting on Facebook profiles for anyone to see? It's like a scammer starter kit.
Exactly. And while prevention at the personal level is crucial, this isn't something individuals should have to handle completely on their own. Stronger regulations are needed, laws that protect people against these kinds of scams and hold bad actors accountable when they misuse AI.
Yeah, it's like the tech's outpacing the rules we've got in place. So, new policies could really help even the playing field, right?
That's exactly it. Beyond regulations, we also need public awareness campaigns. Think of it like cybersecurity training for everyone, not just techies or business professionals, but families, older adults, anyone at risk. Education can go a long way toward resilience.
Okay, so, quick recap before we go. Educate yourself, verify identities, tighten up your social media settings, and seriously, watch for those red flags. Anything else?
I just add that staying informed is half the battle. Technology evolves fast, but so do defenses. The more we talk about these risks and share solutions, the better equipped we'll all be to navigate them.
Well said. And on that note, that's all for today, folks. Thanks for tuning into the Daily Threat. Eric, as always, it's been a blast.
Same here, Dylan. And thank you to everyone listening. Stay safe out there, and we'll catch you next time.